Reuters.
Hello, I'm Darcy Lampton in London. It's every schoolboy's dream to be an astronaut and travel into space. Well, that dream will become a reality for London-based financier Per Wimmer. Mr. Wimmer will take off from a spaceport in California's Mojave Desert as one of a select elite of space tourists. The flight, lasting 2.5 hours, will cost £100,000 and is on offer from the British entrepreneur Richard Branson. The boss of Virgin Group first announced his plans to develop private space travel back in January last year and is hoping the first flight will take off in 2009. Well, to let us know more about the project, I'm joined by spaceman-to-be, Per Wimmer. Per, thanks for coming in. And really, I suppose this is the culmination of an ambition that goes back to your childhood.
Absolutely. The early seeds were planted in high school where I studied math and physics. But being a citizen from Denmark, we didn't really have a space program, so it wasn't really possible to realize that dream. However, when the opportunity was given in the private sphere to really take off to space, it took me split seconds to decide to go. I've traveled to more than 50 countries on Earth. I've been out living with the Indians in the Amazon. I've traveled to the Easter Islands, throughout Africa, all these exciting places on Earth. However, wherever you turn up, there's always a Coca-Cola dispenser, and it's just not as fun as going into space. That is the true frontier of the pioneers of today.
Now, obviously, by day you work in the hedge fund industry, but I must point out for our viewers, this isn't what you wear to work. This is actually what you're going to be wearing when you go into space, hopefully in 2009. You look rather like a Formula One driver. How risky is it in terms of space travel? Because certainly the space shuttle, NASA's space shuttle, has encountered problems in the past. What are the main differences between your spacecraft and, say, a space shuttle?
There's certainly risk involved in traveling to space. After all, these big rockets that we are firing, etc., and there's a lot of energy that's going to be released. So we are aware of those risks. I'm comfortable with the risk profile. Obviously, being a private space traveler, we try to do everything to minimize cost and increase safety as much as possible. It's absolutely crucial as a business proposition. But if you compare that to the official program by NASA, they tend to have a lot of other missions they need to do out there, a lot of scientific missions, and therefore it tends to get very complex. And sometimes things go wrong as a result of that. What we try to do is keep things very simple, very straightforward, and thereby minimizing the cost and the risks, essentially. But we are aware of the risks.
Now, briefly, Per, you are already ready to go because you've done the training. Give us some idea of the kind of training you've been doing.
One of the things we do for training is we fly up in a cargo plane to 14 kilometers altitude, and then we nosedive straight down for about 30-40 seconds at a time. That creates periods of weightlessness, so we can basically float around pretending we are in space, but it actually feels like you are in space because you are really, truly lifting off and flying around. That's one thing we do. The other thing we do is we fly MiG fighter jets in Russia up to an altitude of 80,000 feet, so that is higher than the Concorde used to fly, or at a speed of Mach 2.5, which is about 2.5 times the speed of sound. So it's pretty fast, and we need to get up there in order to keep the plane up there. And at that point, you can actually see the curvature of the Earth. It's completely dark, like the universe, so it's kind of like night and day at the same time. And the last thing we do is travel in the centrifuge, which you probably know from the James Bond movies, etc., where it spins around faster and faster and faster. And these things are quite powerful and actually able to simulate exactly how it feels going into space, because they can turn both this way, and that way. So it's a fantastic experience and a great preparation for the ultimate trip.
And Per, you'll be accumulating lots of air miles in the process, so we look forward to seeing how it all evolves. But thanks again for coming to join us.
Thank you very much.